I just got back from a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and the one word I would use to describe it is intense. In these 10 days, you're not allowed to interact with anybody, you're not allowed to write, to read, to even exercise. All you can really do is walk. And besides eating and sleeping, your only goal for the 10 days is to meditate. And specifically, we were learning the Vipassana technique. During this summer camp for troubled adults or just adults, it was crazy. This experience is a story of sadness, anger, frustration, incredible boredom. But I also experienced compassion, longing, love. And I'll take you through my experience day by day. The first day we got there was a Thursday night. So a bunch of us get there, and there are guys mostly on one side and some girls mingled in, but already there's kind of a separation because ultimately guys and girls would be separated. We gave them our phones, we gave them whatever materials that we would be tempted to use, and that's it. Day one, we start the noble silence, and that is no talking, no eye contact with any of the other students. If you really had a kind of deep digging question about like safety or about where to go, you could ask the assistant teachers. But amongst the other people, amongst the other new students and old students that were meditating, you can't interact with them. That's just no. We meditated for a little bit, and that first day was just kind of people sitting there and observing their breath, being conscious of how you breathe. And that's all they really taught us. And, I'm shifting around, trying to get comfortable. My back is, a little sore because I'm not really used to sitting for even an hour in a certain position. So during the first instructions, they're telling us, of course, we don't want you to interact with the girls. Like, that's an obvious distraction. And I see one of the main assistant helpers is very attractive, and there are other very attractive girls, but one especially catches my eye. She always put her hair up in kind of a half bun, half ponytail, kind of messy. Everyone's supposed to dress modestly, and basically everybody followed that rule. But if you're a really hot girl and you're just dressed like the girl next door in pajama wear, and you have this beautiful like yoga blanket over you with your hair kind of half messy, like you're still hot, if not hotter. And that was a source of intense longing and trouble through the whole time. And of course, when we sat down in our first meditation that night, she was as far away from me as possible, which you would think is less of a distraction. But no, that just meant I could keep staring at her and she would never see me staring at her. So the first teaching, one of the main ones, is do not want, right? Try not to want so much. And here I am sitting there wanting. Then we went to bed, and that was incredibly hard. At home, I've had the really bad habit of falling to sleep with the TV on. So I'd be watching Bob's Burgers or Archers, not even really paying attention, just using it as white noise to help me fall asleep. And there, I was in a room with 20 other dudes, a lot of them older than me, and very diverse array of snores. I felt like I was in a jungle. I swear to God, I heard like panther noises and monkey noises. People just have the weirdest breathing patterns. But that was all external. Inside my head, I was going crazy. I was actually having a lot of visuals. Like I was basically hallucinating very vivid like creatures and shows and episodes, and it was all morphing because my brain had been so hyper stimulated all the time, and all of a sudden having to go to bed at 9:30. It was 9:30 at night. I usually go to bed at 2 or 3, and now I'm not even tired, and I'm just in my bed with nothing. I have nothing. All I have is like earplugs and a flashlight that I can play with. I was so anxious and I just felt terrible. I'm so grateful that I carpooled with 5 other people because unless the driver left, I was stuck. So I had no choice. The first official day, we went through our schedules and we woke up at 4:30 to meditate for 2 hours. So at 6:30, we were able to go to breakfast. And I was excited because for once in my life, I would actually be eating vegetarian. I've always wanted to try it, but I didn't really have the willpower to kind of go for it. And now I didn't really have a choice. I thought being vegetarian would almost be like a magical pill, but no, it's not. If you have peanut butter, if you have milk, you can get fat, you can get pretty big. Lunch was also pretty good. It was vegetables, it was plain. But when you don't have a choice, it just tastes better and better. When that's the only thing to look forward to, it tastes better and better. During lunch, you could also have 5 minutes where you could actually talk just to the teacher. So the teacher is not the main teacher. The main teacher is Goenka, and we watch videos of his discourse at night. So you can sign up if you want to, and I sign up because I need somebody to talk to by day 2, at least even if it's just for 5 minutes max. So I go into the meditation hall, this big hall, with 100 cushions. We all have assigned seating, so we don't need to think about that. You wait your turn and you walk up to the teacher, and you see this Indian guy with white robes on top of a chair, and you're here on this little cushion. And I'm a very, very skeptical person. I don't automatically respect anybody in positions of power or, in kind of garb that I think is kind of fancy that indicates rank or whatever. I didn't know what this dude could offer me. So I sit down and he asks me what my issues are. And it's supposed to be focused around meditation. So first thing I ask is, I can't really get comfortable sitting. My knees hurt, my back hurts. What can I do to deal with that? And he looks at me, and in a very calm voice, he says, that is natural. That is normal. You're only starting, so your body will slowly get used to the sitting. That's it. Very simple. So in my head, I was thinking, okay, reasonable advice, but anybody could have told me that. The second thing I asked was, I have so many thoughts. My mind is everywhere. I cannot focus on the meditation task. So he looks at me and says, treat thoughts like TV. It's just background noise. Of course, thoughts are just white noise oftentimes, but the way he said it really pierced me. It was the tone of his voice, the confidence he said it in, and the compassion I felt from him. And I also think the robes and him sitting above me in the big room and me looking up at him, that definitely played a part. But I later thought about it, and this course is free. He's not getting paid for this. So I'm sure he feels good helping people, but he's there to help me. He's taking 10 days out of his life just to teach us, just to guide us on this method of meditation. So I was really touched. And from that moment on, he had my absolute respect. Just from one human being to another, the fact that he was there and wanting to help me and guide me, I was open. I was open to whatever he wanted to say, and I trusted him. Day 2, day 3, day 4, wake up, meditate, eat, meditate, walk, meditate, twiddle your thumbs, meditate. It was crazy. It passed a little fast because the ending felt so far away. The days kind of just melded together. I would peek out through my eyes at the ponytail, let's call her bunny tail girl, all the time when I was bored. I started reflecting back on my recent troubles, on the stuff that was bothering me recently. I had issues financially, relationships-wise with my friends. Everybody does. I'm not special. I was just stressing about life. Within 2 hours of meditation, I actually maybe only got, I would say 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes if I was really lucky of actual meditation. And the other 75% of the time, my mind was just stressing, running, stressing, thinking, trying to coordinate and plan out my life and fix things in my head. The logical part of me realized as I was thinking about all these things that I could try to think things through and process things through, but in these 10 days, I can't physically solve anything. I can brood about things, I can keep thinking about them, I could hypothetically solve them, but the reality is always different from what my head is. So on an intellectual level, I knew that I wasn't really helping anybody by thinking about these things so much, but that's how the brain works. It just kind of simulates these situations, these potential situations, and it relives the past situations, simulating potential situations, reliving past situations. And we're totally missing the now, the power of now. Again, most people know that. Most people say live in the moment, live in the now, enjoy the present, but people can't do it. Why? That was one of the things we learned in this course, which is amazing. But we'll get back to that later. My focus was on this chick, and my focus was on my other problems. Day 4, after 3 days of our only goal was to observe our breath, was to observe what it felt like to breathe in and breathe out. In this area right here, we finally learned Vipassana meditation. I'm not going to do it justice within a 10-minute video, so I'm not even going to try to make a 10-day long story very, very short. Vipassana is the examination of the mind through examining the body. You basically have sensations through your body when you're just at rest. And the whole 10 days was training you to be able to recognize and be aware of those sensations. And that awareness carries over to times of trouble, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're depressed, when you're jealous, even when you're really happy. That's actually a physical sensation. And if you're more aware of it, you can kind of dissolve its effect on you. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I hope that makes some sense. It's easy to explain on a high level, but unless you experience the meditation, it's hard to really connect with that. The 4th, 5th, and 6th days, once we're learning Vipassana, I started diving back because again, there's nothing to do. So all you really could do is meditate, or at least sit there and let your thoughts own you. And my thoughts spanked the shit out of me. So after I tired myself thinking about my current problems and my future problems, I started thinking about my past problems. I went back almost through my whole life to every single trauma, every single point of suffering that I remember, and just relived them, trying to understand why they happened, why I had to suffer, what could I have done differently, why did this happen, why did he treat me like that when I treated him like that, why did she do this to me when I did this for her, why did I do this to him. And that's just what the brain does. So I was feeling pretty down through, day after day. I'm meditating as much as I could, but most of the time my mind is running and taking me to fairly dark places because I have nothing else to do. Day 7 and 8 were one of the hardest days of my life. I basically took myself through the past, beating myself up at every point. And by day 8, I actually cried a little bit, feeling sorry for myself that all these bad things had to happen to me and I couldn't let them go. And I really feel like I didn't deserve all these things that happened to me. But that day, while we were meditating, at this point, I had actually gotten pretty good at sitting. I had conquered a lot of my physical surface level issues. So because I had already dealt with all the physical issues, I was diving deep into my past. So I opened my eyes a little bit during the sittings of strong determination. Now that's 3 times a day of 1 hour where you're not supposed to move. You have to sit as still as you can't go to the bathroom, and you can't change your posture. So I know everybody's in physical pain. I just peeked out a little bit and the whole room was still. Everybody was like a Buddha statue. And I was suffering. I was, back and forth, thinking about everything that happened to me. But you wouldn't be able to tell that just looking at me. Throughout these 8 days so far, my face basically remained unchanged. But inside, there was a storm. And as I looked at everybody, I realized that we're all suffering. Because I know I'm not special. Every person I've ever met enjoys a hug. Every person does not enjoy getting betrayed. And everybody suffers when they don't get what they want. And everybody wants things. So if there's all this suffering in the world, let's say suffering is a red tinted lens. If everybody is wearing a red tinted lens and the red is suffering, why would you ever say that this red that we're experiencing is my red? That's my suffering. That's not your suffering. This is happening to me. This is my suffering and I need to deal with it. That doesn't make sense. The whole world is red. The whole world is fire. It's all of us. It's all of our suffering.